Wasabi wallet. Unfairly private.
What's up, everyone? Ben with the BTC Sessions here, and this is your daily session.
Hodl that Bitcoin.
Before we dive into the news, of course, a couple quick things. Shout out to sponsors of the show, Ledn.io. This is where you can use your Bitcoin for a few different services, one of which is a Bitcoin savings account, so you can stack sats on top of your existing Bitcoin by utilizing their accounts. You can also get a Bitcoin-backed loan. This is where you use your Bitcoin as collateral to secure a Canadian or US dollar loan. So if you're trying to get your hands on dollars, but you worry about selling your Bitcoin, you think it might be a bad time to do so, well, this could be an option for you. And finally, if you are a huge bull when it comes to Bitcoin, you might want to check out their B2X option. Buy2X is also the name for it, and that's where you can get double the exposure to Bitcoin. If you want to check out any of those, just go ahead, click the link down below, and actually there's a deal where if you do use that link and you opt to get a Bitcoin-backed loan, they'll credit your account with an additional $50 worth of Bitcoin. And secondly, if you're into Bitcoin, then privacy is very important. One of the things that I use all the time is NordVPN. And so I have this running on my computer, on my phone, and what it does is it hides your IP address, it encrypts your browsing data, and it also has a bunch of other added benefits, one of which I like is being able to unlock geo-block content. If something's blocked in your region, well, you can just change your region using NordVPN, and boom, everything is unlocked and visible and accessible. So if you click the link down below, there's a special deal where you get 70% off. It works out to about $3.49 a month, so pretty solid there. And with that, let's dive into the news. So we've been talking a little bit about Einstein Exchange, and so this is a Canadian-based Bitcoin and cryptocurrency exchange that was seized by the British Columbia Securities Commission recently. There's been complaints for quite some time now that people couldn't get money out of their accounts, and obviously huge red flag there. But then some sort of an internal memo was going around that got leaked that said essentially they wouldn't be able to operate much longer and they were about to shut down, and so the BCSC swooped in and Grant Thornton took possession of all of their assets. Well, it's turning out that of everything of the reported 12 million US dollars, which is the equivalent of about 16 million Canadian, there was only $45,000 left of all of that. It's all gone. It's all gone. So what was left, there was about $30,000 Canadian, and there was about $15,000 worth of cryptocurrency left. Where is the rest of it? Well, we don't seem to fucking have a clue yet. They have issued inquiries to a number of banks trying to track down basically any assets that may belong to the CEO or other employees of the company that may have been moving company funds around. So they're just basically trying to see if there's any money sitting in other bank accounts that could belong to the company that could be seized to help make the customers whole again. But again, it harkens to the fact that not your keys, not your coins. If you leave your money with a custodian, especially for no reason, it's just a matter of time before something like this happens. So I usually advise people, if you buy from an online exchange, if that's what you're doing, then as soon as you buy, remove it from the exchange. Now, I want to point out something that I thought was hilarious the other day. This is up on my Twitter here. So forgive me, I forgot about this, but I wanted to bring it up really quick here. There we go. Okay, so this is an exchange between my boss, Francis Pouliot from Bull Bitcoin, and the CEO of Einstein Exchange back in January 28th of this year. So Francis put up this thing saying, hey, third-party Bitcoin custodians, is the inconvenience of using your own wallet worth the risk? And so he said that, hey, Bull Bitcoin and Bills, we never hold your coins. We always send directly back to you. He said, we don't let you make a bad decision. Using your own wallet is mandatory for our non-custodial payments and exchange services. And what he was referring to here, because remember this was back in January, was the collapse of Quadriga CX and the $100 and something million, damn near $200 million that went missing with the closure of that company and the death of its CEO. Well, lo and behold, the reply here was from, I'm not even sure how to say his last name, Michael Gokturk. Anyways, he is the CEO, or I guess still the CEO of Einstein Exchange, and he said, maximalists usually don't dance on other people's graves. Sad to see pioneers turn on each other. Doesn't help customers, doesn't help the industry, and sure doesn't help further the original vision. And so the Bull Bitcoin account, which, full disclosure, that was me. So I said the intention is not to dance on a grave, but to highlight the inherent risk of custodial services and encourage more people to learn how to properly secure their own private keys. And Francis again chimed in and said, so are we not supposed to criticize anyone that is exhibiting clearly sketchy behavior for years? How else are users supposed to know what's good or bad if there is some implicit agreement of not criticizing each other openly? And then the reason that this got brought to our attention again is Stacey Herbert from the Kaiser Report. She pointed it out. She said, hey, Francis, you were right. I don't know how she found this, but good on you, Stacey. She must have remembered this interaction from a while ago, and she pointed out this exact article saying that they had collapsed. And so it's absolutely just so ironic that somebody who chimed in and was defending Quadriga more or less and saying, hey, let's not celebrate this, even though it wasn't a celebration, it was just pointing out this is not safe behavior. The person who chimed in and went to shit on Francis is the same guy that is responsible for the collapse of his own exchange, which also lost user funds. It's mind-blowing to me. Like I couldn't believe, I had forgotten this had happened, but my God. So in summary, again, if you're purchasing Bitcoin anywhere, even if you're not doing it from Bull Bitcoin, because we won't hold it for you, but if you purchase Bitcoin anywhere, get it off the exchange, get it into your own wallet, learn about how to use a hardware wallet and secure it that way. And you're going to be way more secure doing that than trusting some random exchange. At least if you have something on an exchange or with a custodian, have a purpose to it and minimize your risk by only having what you need to. So if you're an active trader, only have what you're actively trading with and withdraw it when you're finished. If you're utilizing a service, perfect example, if you're utilizing something like Ledn, I use Ledn. Full disclosure, I got myself a Bitcoin-backed loan at the beginning of this year in 2019, back in, I think, February. I can't quite recall. Anyways, so I do have some Bitcoin sitting with Ledn. But is it my whole stack? Abso-fucking-lutely not. I took a look at the risk with what I wanted to do, and I decided, okay, this amount is okay for me. But I recognize the risk, right? There's always a risk with a custodian. And so I'm happy to have Ledn as a sponsor. I utilize their services, but I also am smart and I mitigate my risk by not leaving all of my eggs in one custodial basket. So just keep that in mind. Be smart, beware, and be careful out there. Yeah. Anyways, let's move on. There's my rant. There's my rant for the day. Okay, the U.S. Federal Reserve is exploring digital dollar, creating a digital dollar, and its effect on the monetary system. The chairman of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, has been kind of pressed, especially in light of recent events where we hear things about China creating their own digital currency. He's being pressed to say, hey, is the Fed looking into stuff like this? What's going on? Are we thinking about it? Should we try to keep up? And And so there were a couple representatives that were asking him about this. The representatives, if I can find their names here, Representatives French Hill and Bill Fosters. So they requested to see if they have views on the creation of a CBDC, a central bank digital currency. So Powell ended up saying, he sent a letter back to these guys and he said that although the agency is not currently developing a CBDC, it has assessed and continues to evaluate the costs and benefits of such an initiative. He basically revealed that the agency is conducting its own small-scale research-focused experiments to gain hands-on experience and better understand the opportunities and limitations of CBDCs. So here's a quote from Powell. He says, "If it is designed to be financially transparent and provide safeguards against illicit activity, a general-purpose CBDC could conceivably require the Federal Reserve to keep running record of all payments data using the digital currency, and sometimes that raises issues related to data privacy and information security." And I've got to say, I completely agree here. If a central bank is running their own digital currency and they need to also be doing like KYC AML, then that means that everything that they hold is in this giant honeypot. And not only that, but like it becomes not like a distributed, decentralized kind of network. It is essentially a database that they kind of have control over, which again raises other risks of people getting in and screwing with that database and messing with the ledger of who owns what. So there is a fair amount of risk for this. Now, my favorite quote of this whole thing is a response from Representative Hill in response to what Jerome Powell said, and it said, "This decision would have far-reaching implications on every aspect of America's monetary policy and requires a deep level of analysis to ensure proper implementation. My main concern is that we are not caught flat-footed by fast-moving developments in other countries, China, that may put our economy at a competitive disadvantage and threaten the primacy of the US dollar." So all they're worried about is the supremacy of the US dollar and the pedestal that it's on as the world reserve currency. And I hate to break it to you guys, but that shit is not going to last forever. No reserve currency always lasts forever. And from what we've been seeing, the US dollar, I think, has already seen its brightest days. I think it's not going to get much better from here. You have China creating its own digital currency, central bank digital currency. But it's all really just a rush to stay relevant. And this was largely in response to Libra, Facebook coming out with its own currency, and the revelation to everybody that, hey, central banks no longer have a monopoly on creating money. And so there was this rush to kind of deal with Libra, but the thing is, the cat's out of the bag, and the elephant in the fucking room is like, once again, you can't haul in Bitcoin in front of the Senate and shut it down. And these guys think for some reason that it's the digitization is the innovation. Just because it's digital, it'll be somehow innovative and that will keep them relevant. Bitcoin wasn't invented because of slow payments and lack of digitization. Bitcoin was invented because of shitty policies on the part of central banks. So if you want to compete with something like Bitcoin, you've got to have better monetary policy. You've got to stop pumping QE and shoving hundreds of billions of dollars into overnight repo markets and having this race to the bottom of devaluation of currencies. That is why Bitcoin was created. And I mean, for these guys, it's apparently about as clear as mud because they're not getting the message. And I don't think that they will. Honestly, I don't think they will. They'll find ways to kick the can down the road. And even the general public probably doesn't fully, we know for sure the general public doesn't fully understand the implications of all this stuff, nor is it really paying attention. But in the end, it'll be self-evident which money is sound money. Which money can you hold and be able to purchase the same or more later on. And over time, I think it'll be obvious to everybody. But anyways, let's move on. Further to kind of regulation, government, all that kind of realm, FinCEN issued a statement that any stablecoin issuers, so anybody who issues a coin that is in some way pegged to a fiat national currency, they are money transmitters no matter what. So they said that their regulations are technology neutral. It doesn't matter the conduit through which you're doing this. If you're doing this, you are a money transmitter and therefore need a license. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time on this story in particular, but I do question this a little bit. So the question is in the term stablecoin and how it's utilized. So a stablecoin is some sort of a digital value that would be pegged to a different currency. So like a coin or a token that represents $1 worth of value. And so, okay, sure, if these people are money transmitters and that's what FinCEN says, then so be it. But I kind of wonder how the notion of things like gift cards or digital gift cards fit into that. If I buy, if Starbucks issues me a digital gift card which represents $25 worth of value, and I can also share that gift card with others, I can sell it to others, I can do with it as I please, does that fall into the same realm? I recognize that the at that point the gift card is only redeemable at Starbucks, but I mean there's a lot of cases where the issued stablecoin is only redeemable at a particular exchange until others start to accept it. So I think it's an interesting kind of segue into considering what these regulations mean and why they may or may not apply to other things if they're going to do this blanket statement and say that anything that's pegged to a dollar is a stable coin and thus requires a money transmitter license. So I don't know. Let me know what you think. Maybe I'm missing something here, but it seems a little funny. My favorite quote here, though, from them is the guy says something like, "You can't say just because you say you're a banana doesn't make you a banana." So alluding to the fact like, oh, we're not a money transmitter, but you are. But he said, you can't build a car that only goes 150 miles per hour and ask us to change the speed limit. That's not happening. Build your car to meet the requirements. And I think he's a little bit missing the point here because it's not that people made a car that's going to go on the same roads as everybody else. It's that somebody privately created a completely separate road system that enables much quicker vehicles. And so, and in turn, it's a completely separate system, potentially outside of the reach of someone like FinCEN. Because realistically, globally, how do you deal with that? How do you stop it from happening? Again, I'm not a huge stablecoin person, but I think that FinCEN seems to be missing the point here in that they're not trying to cram into your system and your regulatory environment. They've created something externally to it, and they, as much as they say you are this and you have these rules, enforcement is an entirely different thing. And I'm not advocating for people to break the law, but at the same time, how the hell do you enforce that yes, you can enforce it within the confines of the United States and perhaps in other jurisdictions, but in the long run, somebody can issue a stable coin from anywhere in the world, and at that point, it's just plain accessible to anybody. So we'll see what happens there. Just a couple quick things to finish up here. Turns out that hodling pays. No shit, that's kind of why I'm here. Anyways, 61% of Bitcoin owners currently could sell at a profit. So a lot of people might look at this headline and think, oh, well, yeah, sure, the people that got in early. But actually, people that got in after the peak, like all the latecomers, anybody that basically bought at a 4-digit price is more or less still in the green. Like they're still doing well. So 61% of all holders right now could sell at a gain, but they're not. So it means that there's kind of like this high threshold for a floor. So if 61% of all Bitcoiners right now are still in profit, then there is a strong bottom at some point where if people are still holding at these price points, they're not going to sell still quite a bit below this. So anyways, the whole point of this is that a lot of new people have come in. There's a very limited amount of time where people were not in profit. So essentially from around this time in 2017 and then kind of through to early 2018. So there's like a few month period, and then there was this spike in June of this year. But outside of that, it's there hasn't been a lot of time where it's been too much above this price point. And on top of that, if people have been dollar cost averaging and making buys at different prices, the lower prices that they bought at have evened out the higher prices that they bought at as well. So yeah, they're just saying that even though the price of Bitcoin is down to almost $8,100, it is important to highlight that the crypto asset has a strong bottom. What does this mean? It means that with the current price, 61% of addresses holding Bitcoin would make a profit if they sold their position today. So really it's just a matter of how long have people been holding for and how long have they toughed out the bottoms, because historically when you look through it, not too many people are at a loss still, even though it's seemed like a bearish quarter of the year. It hasn't been a lot of upside recently, but keep in mind we started the year at in the 3,000s and we're still in the 8s. So take it for what it is. And finally, I just wanted to touch on this. I mentioned last week that I was checking out MyNode, which is it's running on the desk behind me. So what this is it's software that you can download and run for free, or you can pay for a few upgraded features, and you can set it up on something like a Raspberry Pi or on your home computer or whatever you like. So I did sync everything, got it running. I shouldn't say everything. There's a couple things still syncing, but I just wanted to kind of give you guys a little show of what this looks like. I think it's pretty awesome. So I've got a full Bitcoin node. I've got a Lightning wallet running here. I am syncing Electrum server. So what that does is it essentially like cross references and allows you to look up transactions and blocks and all the different stuff that has to do with the Bitcoin blockchain. So it basically is a server for you to reference the blockchain. And so when that's synced, then I have my own Bitcoin Explorer, basically my own block explorer. Why might you want that? Well, if you're looking up a transaction on your computer and referencing a block explorer on the internet, well, you're leaking your IP address and your potential location and information to whoever may be looking. So just keep that in mind. Of course, something like NordVPN helps with that because you're utilizing a different IP address entirely. And then, there's a ton of stuff here. There's a lot of stuff I ended up connecting my Zap wallet. So this guy here, shout out to Jack Mallers for his contribution to the space for creating Lightning Network, the Zap wallet. I also have it on mobile, so these are both synced up, and I put in about 500,000 Satoshis and did some test transactions here. And so far, so good. So far, so good. I am enjoying it. I'm having a lot of fun. It was pretty easy to sync, to set up Zap with it. I'm still playing around trying to get Blue Wallet, a mobile wallet, to sync with it and set up Electrum with it. But yeah, I'll be playing around with it, and I think eventually I'll do a video once I've had a good amount of time to play with it and understand it. The setup itself, I'd say relatively easy. Most of it was just plug and play, and then once it's synced up, hitting a few buttons that say like start a wallet or enable Electrum server. So it's just like a few buttons to click to turn things on. But besides that, it hasn't been super complex. There just may be a few questions if you're brand new to things. And I mean, it's maybe not for everybody, obviously. If you're a brand new user of Bitcoin and you're starting to dive into things, you might want to start slow before you dive headfirst into this kind of stuff. But as you get more curious, I think this is a great thing to kind of help understand what's happening under the hood. And the interface is pretty clean and pretty nice. So kudos to MyNode for what they've done here. Anyways, I will wrap it up. I've been a little bit rambly there. I apologize. Thank you so much for watching. Of course, as always, like, subscribe, and share. Please do hit share. It is wonderful to get more people watching this, and it's always great to see you guys in the chat every time. If you want to help out the show in another way, check out either the sponsors, Ledn or Nord. Those are in the links down below. And further to our privacy chat, check out Wasabi Wallet. It is great to be able to mix your coins and break the links between you and your coins, because financial privacy is important, and you never know what kind of prying eyes may be checking out your finances behind the scenes. You don't want to become a target. So Wasabi Wallet can help you with that. And finally, if you really like what you saw, of course, you can drop me a tip at my Tip and Dummy page via the Lightning Network. And with that, I am out. Have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you tomorrow for your daily session.